you know how on Facebook everybody shares what they're doing, you know. They'll take a bunch of photos at the beach with their friends or with the kids, or at the mountains, or they'll take a picture of something they're doing, planting a garden, or something they're making, like some artwork or something. And so everybody's sharing what they're doing. So this is what I'm doing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Get to have a glimpse into my life, my world, what I'm doing, and trying to take shelter more and more in the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It really is all about being able to call out for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Whatever else we're doing, it's like that verse in Gita that I was reading recently, 9:27. Whatever you do should be done as an offering to me, Krishna. It's not chant Hare Krishna like a work song, you know. If I chant Hare Krishna, then it's like abracadabra. I'll get a house. Abracadabra, I'll get a new car. Hare Krishna, no, it's not like that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, it's not abracadabra. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. There was a Buddhist group, popular, quite a while ago. It's probably still up and running. You don't hear much about it though. And they would chant. I had a friend who was in that Buddhist group, Nam-myo Renge Kyo. And they would chant that mantra and ask for things. It was like a magic mantra. Whatever you wanted, you could have if you chanted that mantra. That's not what chanting Hare Krishna is. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The idea is to only want Krishna. And Krishna, he'll supply so many things in such a way that they lose their attraction and you don't want them anymore. All you want is Krishna. Like, what was it? Prabhupada said the way to preach to an alcoholic, or to explain Krishna consciousness in a practical way to someone who's addicted to alcohol, is to tell them, well, you can practice Krishna consciousness. Just whenever you drink, and you go to take a drink, just practice thinking that the taste you're looking for is Krishna. So you take that alcohol and you think, I'm looking for Krishna. And pretty soon, you won't want the alcohol. You'll have Krishna. You won't want the alcohol. That's what you were looking for anyway, was Krishna. So we're doing so many things so that we can offer all of our activities and the things we're doing to Krishna, so that eventually all we have is Krishna. And that's what we want. We don't want so many things. We want Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I'm going to read Krishna book. A few minutes, just a little more on the beads. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Because when it's time to leave the body, we don't know when that is, but when it's time for that, how are so many things going to help us? They're not going to help us. The only thing that can help us is Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Whatever's favorable for increasing the attachment to Krishna, we accept that, and whatever's unfavorable for becoming more and more attached to Krishna, then we disregard that. We don't take that. We leave it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So many pitfalls, so many traps and distractions, and to keep away from actually Krishna. So many very subtle things, not so subtle things. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Entanglements, attachments to things other than Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Patterns and ways of thinking. Some of it's from childhood. Some childhood disturbance or childhood traumas sets up a pattern of without even realizing. It's not even like a conscious thing. It just becomes like a pattern reaction or response to certain situations. It was set up when you were 5 years old. So you keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So, hearing about Krishna, his personality, his activities, that helps us become more attached to Krishna too. Become more attached to Krishna. Krishna. Oh, I love these books. I love Prabhupada's books. Thank you, Prabhupada. Let me just share a little bit this way. Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Askacha Desatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Padavadikacharya Asa Sarasata Shri Sriman His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vanchikapacharuviyascha Kripasindhuyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. It's the stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma. So the boys and the calves have all come back to their respective families and cowsheds, and there's a display of intense affection by the cows for their calves and by the mothers for their children. The kind of affection that they only show for Krishna, because these particular calves and these particular boys are Krishna. Krishna has expanded into these particular calves and these particular boys to hide the fact that Brahma has stolen the other ones to try to test Krishna. So there's been a huge display of affection. The fathers for their sons, the cows for the calves, the mothers for the boys. So when Balaram saw this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and their calves, and between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing happened. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate for their own children, exactly as they had been for Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate for their calves as much as for Krishna. Balaram therefore concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? he concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipful personality of Godhead, he thought. It was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check his mystic power. Thus, Balaram understood that all those boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. Balaram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He said, "My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these cows, calves, and boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods, but at the present it appears that they're actually your expansions. They're all you. You yourself are playing as the calves, cows, and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and cows and boys gone? Why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause?" At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the calves and boys were stolen by Brahma, and how he was concealing the incident by expanding himself so people would not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. While Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval, according to the duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life from the Bhagavad Gita. 1,000 times the duration of the 4 ages, or 4,300,000 times 1,000, comprise Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, 1 moment of Brahma is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. After 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away his calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. He saw that all the boys, calves, cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them, although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his mystic power. Brahma began to think, all the boys, calves, and cows were taken away by me, and I know they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of cows, boys, and calves are playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? Have they been playing continually for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. In other words, he himself came under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in the darkness or the glowworm in daytime. During the night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, and snow piled up on the top of a hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime. But at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does the glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow or the glowworm. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of greater mystic power, he diminishes his own influence. He does not increase it. Even a great personality like Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic power. In order to convince Brahma that all the cows, calves, and boys were not the original ones, the cows, calves, and boys who were playing with Krishna transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, the original ones were sleeping under the spell of Brahma's mystic power, but the present ones seen by Brahma were all immediate expansions of Krishna, or Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna, so the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. All the Vishnu forms were of bluish color and dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands, decorated with club, disc, lotus flower, and conch shell. On their heads were glittering gold and jeweled helmets. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings, and garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chest was the mark of Srivats. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry. Their necks were smooth, just like the conch shell. Their legs were decorated with bells, their waists decorated with golden bells, and their fingers decorated with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw that upon the whole body of Lord Vishnu, fresh tulasi buds were thrown, beginning from his lotus feet up to the top of his head. Another significant feature of the Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled the moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early rising of the sun. Just by their glancing, they appeared as the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, Brahma represents the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva represents the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also the creator and maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After the manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas and demigods and even insignificant living entities down to the ants and very small straws, movable and immovable living entities, were dancing, surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete, beginning from the anima perfection of becoming small like an atom, up to becoming infinite like the cosmic manifestation. All the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, and all the demigods, and the 24 elements of cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. By the influence of Lord Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time, space, cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the three qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized, is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of 3 transcendental features: eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And he is the object of worship by the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of cows, boys, and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism of the type that a yogi or a demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The cows, calves, and boys transformed into Vishnu murtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu's Maya or Vishnu's energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are like that of fire and heat. In the heat, there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, cows, and calves was not like the heat, but rather the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects, which are reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in many pots are not actually the sun. There's no actual heat and light from the sun in the pot, although it appears as the sun. But the forms which Krishna assumed were, each and every one, full Vishnu. Satyam means truth, Jnanam, full knowledge, and Ananda, full bliss. Transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His person are so great that the impersonal followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Particularly, the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalists, who can only understand through studies of Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter, and the absolute truth is not materially restricted by limited potency. Krishna. Oh boy. Krishna Chaitanya. Let me go back a little bit. Oh, Krishna. Krishna. Okay, I guess I'm going to stop there and pick up there next time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hey! Haribol. Lost but not forgotten. Hare Krishna.